live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Hey, hey, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, 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 we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Man, okay, so when I was going over what should be, who's really right and some of the things that we should discuss for topics, this was one that I knew I had to touch, just because of, how big LeBron James is, and like in my opinion, he's still the face of the league. But do you believe that LeBron should have been suspended for that elbow to the head of Isaiah Stewart?
Vince has an answer versus the NBA's, how they're looking at it. So
yeah,
as far as Vince is concerned, outside of LeBron, I want to say a gentleman out in Denver when he I jack up his name, so I'm not going to jack up his name here on the podcast, but the big center who's like the player, he ended up getting a suspension because they said it's a push. Like, I'm like, I was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to accept suspensions with taps and pushes when I was in Detroit in the 80s. Bad boys is how I was raised. Yeah. That's Bill Lambert's school of rebounding is learned growing up. So I have a hard time seeing guys who push, who tap, who square up face to face, and really nothing transpires. They get suspended 1-2 games. Yeah. When growing up, I mean, you got full-fledged kicks and full-fledged punches, and it just be a foul, shoot your 2 shots, maybe a technical. That's the end of that.
Maybe a fine, but not a suspension.
Not at all. So do I believe LeBron should have been suspended? I personally don't, but I understand the NBA's position. So going back to, you got to go back to 2004. And again, LeBron, he hit Isaiah Stewart in Detroit. And you now have
context.
Listen, you got to have the context. So one of the wonderful special, if you haven't seen Malice in the Palace, you got to see that. That's going to give you context to what I'm going to say. But from that, it highlighted the hip hop culture that had infiltrated, and not so much hip hop culture. It's just, you got influencers who like what they like. So Allen Iverson, as he said in many interviews, he wasn't trying to start a trend of big t-shirts and baseball caps, and he just likes what he likes from Virginia, repping JB's home. He just liked what he liked, and it just so happened to catch fire. And so it gave the NBA a look with long tees, baggy tees, chains, whatever. And so if you watch Malice in the Palace, you see that this narrative of NBA being a quote unquote hip hop sport full of thugs. And then you had December of 2004, or it was November of 2004. November 2004, where you have the Malice in the Palace, and you've got just pure pandemonium unfolding in the NBA. And from there, David Stern has he set the tone of cleaning up the quote unquote image of the NBA. So knowing that this is the direction that now has been crystallized over 15 years, 17 years, we're in Detroit. You have a play that went awry. You've got Isaiah Stewart, who's ready to go. You have LeBron, who's unwilling to back down. You've got to send a message similar to what we talked about earlier in the show in baseball. Basketball was just sending a message saying that, listen, I don't care if you're the king. We are not going to have any type of aggressive fighting going on in our league. We're going to keep this clean image of basketball.
So this is the reason why this wasn't our who's really right, because I have the same position. I understand why they did it. I didn't even think about the nugget though. You gave me that one, that this was in Detroit where the Malice in the Palace happened. So I didn't even think about that part, but I was like, the league had to send a message to all of its players. This is not going to be tolerated, even if you're the king. And so I was okay with them doing it, even though I didn't think personally that he should have been suspended, because, you know, like you said, I'm an 80s baby. I done seen some stuff happen on the basketball court.
That's right.
And so, you know, I thought a fine would have just been warranted. I think what probably exacerbated the situation was the fact that Isaiah Stewart went crazy. Now, the only thing that I was truly upset with is, if you're Isaiah Stewart, you got to fight when you got the chance. You can't walk up to LeBron, look at him in the face, and get close enough to take a swing. And then after you get separated, you know, you do all of that trying to get to him when you had your opportunity to get to him. That's the only thing I was upset about. But I'm not for fighting in basketball. I'm just being silly. But yeah, no, I understood it. I did understand why they had to suspend him.
LeBron is the last of the Mohicans, I would say, from the genre of idols in sports, idols in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for generations, you had the one superstar that everyone pointed to as the North Star of the sport.
Yeah.
And LeBron, I think, is one of the last that there'll be for a little while. I mean, they might change our mind. We might have a prodigy come out. I don't know. But, you know, you've got the passing of the torch from Dr. J to Michael. You then went from Michael to Kobe. And then you've had the passing of the torch from Kobe to LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
There were idols. There were North Stars. There were untouchables. You wanted to get them. But they also wanted to show you that as hard as you work, you were not going to be on my level.
Right.
Now in sports, you don't have that idol. So guys are like, I'm gonna bust you no matter who you are.
Right.
So there's not this respect for someone's body of work.
Right.
Where you're like, you've been so great for so long that I defer you. I'm gonna work hard, but I tip my cap to you because, you know, you're just the GOAT. Guys are like, I don't care if you LeBron James, King James, Luke James, like, I don't care. Boney James, like, I don't care who you are. I'm gonna bust you. Yeah. And LeBron, coming from that type of generation of, you don't come after me no matter how old I'm gonna show you that I can still sun you. Right. Now, I've been there where, again, growing up in our generation, if you have an OG that's on the basketball court and you talk trash to the OG on the basketball court, the OG might be average until you start talking that nonsense. Oh, yeah. And then they go X Games mode.
Right.
They go X Games and they go off.
Yeah.
That's LeBron. LeBron was like, I'm tired of this little 20-year-old pushing me.
Right. Yeah.
And I think in a moment of, dog, I'm borderline just trying to keep my body together till my son makes it to the league.
Right.
And you with your, you know, strong 20-year-old body, you keep pushing on me. Bruh, like, chill out. Right. And that bruh, chill out, that backhand, it ended up just clipping something, and I don't know what he gashed.
Yeah.
But, you know, now I look like WWE Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got progressively worse from there.
And it's crazy. When I see like little stuff like that, you know, it's happened to me before. It doesn't look like anything when you watch it in replay, like not so bad that it would open up a cut where you would need 5 stitches. But yeah, he was leaking, and I was like, man, I didn't realize he hit him that hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly understood it, and you know, they got to police the sport. And now when you add the fact that it was in Detroit, they really like, nah, we're not allowing this to happen again. Because Isaiah Stewart went off. All right, let's jump to this contract by Taysom Hill. Mm-hmm. So it was a $40 million extension. He just received an extension a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it last year? Mm-hmm. I think it was last year. I think it was before last season. And I think, you know, they made their decision to go with Taysom Hill over Teddy Bridgewater. but then this past year they brought in, no, last year they brought in what's his name? Jameis Winston.
Crab legs.
Yes. Brought in crab legs. And when Jameis won the starting QB job over Taysom Hill in the preseason this year, I thought that the Saints were going to regret the decision to give him as much money as they did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like the Saints have decided to double down. And this extension could end up, paying him somewhere around 100 million, a little less than 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
You think this was a good idea by the Saints?
Okay,
what are they thinking?
So they're in a sense they're trying to coach Taysom up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're trying to motivate him to be at least a hold me over till they get a great draft pick to get a real quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They're hurting because they're used to quality at the quarterback position for Drew Brees. They don't have that. Taysom, they believe that there's somebody in the front office saying that he's got an upside. So let's structure a deal to where, because the base is slightly over 5 million. All right. So we're going to pay you 5 million a year in a sense. However, son, if you can be respectable on this field, you put us in playoff contention. They're basically saying, we're going to give you $5.5 million. But if you outperform this 5.5, your life could be considerably different over the next 4 years. But the ball is in your court. It gives Taysom something to shoot for, but it gives them an opportunity to cut him and pay him his 5 million and wash their hands with him if a better situation opens up. So it sounds like, they opened the bank book, but what they did was they said, hey, we're going to commit to you. We're going to show you that we want you to succeed. We're showing you that we have the resources to thank you for succeeding. But if you don't, we will release you for $5 million and wash our hands and move forward. So I don't, in a sense, when you have a team that is looking for a quarterback, saying that I'm going to commit to the person that's here, maybe it motivates you in the off season to hire you a trainer, hire you a coach, get you some consulting. Maybe you'll do the work to be what we need until we figure this out. But I'm glad that it's not 95 guaranteed. Then then we would say, okay, these guys have lost it. But they're like, we're going to give you $5.5 million. That's what we're committing. We're gonna pay you well, but you could change your life if you change the life of our organization.
Well, it's funny. As much as I know about NFL contracts, even when I saw the number, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that this contract is so incentive laden. I just saw almost 100 million, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, what are we doing here? But that makes a lot of sense. I know when you look at someone like Kirk Cousins. Yeah. And you see him get a fully guaranteed contract and then re-up for fully guaranteed money. When you hear that money on the initial, it's just like, all right, that's a lot of money. And in thinking about it in comparison to, Taysom Hill and his contract, when you see just the number of what it could be, not necessarily what it will be, you automatically think, all right, like, hey, what's going on here? Like, why are we paying him this much money, especially when we haven't made the decision to make him our starting quarterback? But that was good insight on that contract, because I didn't realize the base was only going to be about 5 million.
Absolutely.
So that makes much more sense.
Yeah, it's like, you get a decent paycheck while you're here for as long as we need to keep you. But you can, if you turn it around. So, and I think somebody might have been thinking about a Kirk Cousins situation where it's like, we caught lightning in a pan. Yeah. So if you go off, we're going to pay you. Yeah. But if you don't, we're going to cut you. And call it a day.
And you won't see nowhere near any of that money that got reported. It's funny. So now, you know what? We got to have, you got to come back on soon so we can discuss like these contracts and, you know, what they mean and, you know, some of this stuff, because I don't think the average person knows how contracts are structured. And when they hear a number, they probably react in a way that I did for this story. Like, all right, now this is extremely high number for a player who isn't a starting quarterback, does do a little bit, you know, and that's why I was like, as the backup, he can't do all of the things that he used to do when he was the third string quarterback behind one, Drew Brees is the starter, but Teddy Bridgewater is the backup.
Yeah.
Because having him in that third role, he's the emergency quarterback. Right. You can have him if you need him, but as the backup, he may be called upon very quickly. And we saw what happened with Jameis Winston.
As we've seen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're just shoring up what they believe is their most viable option in the event of, because Jameis Winston, as unfortunately we've seen, has been injury prone. Yeah. So, you know, they're on the market along with the Falcons down here. The quarterbacks are getting hard to find. Yeah.
Oh man, we could do a whole nother show on how the Falcons have needed to move on and get a new quarterback for a few years now and just decided not to. Man. There's some blind loyalty that's going on inside of the organization.
Listen, I dream of the day where I could cheer for a professional football team. Mm-hmm. I am jealous of people who have teams they cheer for that win in football. Like, I don't know what it's like to have hope on a Sunday. I've been a Lions fan, and for a second I tried to be, because I live here in Atlanta, I tried to be a Falcons fan. But both do the same thing with my heart, and I'm just unwilling to get into a new relationship. And so I don't know. So if you're out there with a team that's winning, if you could just comment and just tell me what it's like to look forward to games on Sunday and structure your day around being around the television. Yesterday, the Lions reminded me why I'm in the position I'm in, because I started hoping in them. And you know, I got done with lunch yesterday and I said, wouldn't it be great if the Lions could get their first win today? And they were leading. And so my heart tricked myself and said, it could be possible. They're going against Andy Dalton. Jared Goff is in. I like our chances. And so I began to hope. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping all the way through the game. So my hope was on high in the fourth quarter, and it's dangerous when it's high. And the Bears were in the red zone with less than 2 minutes to play, and your mind starts saying, "This looks like the same movie, just with different characters." And it's like, no, this is gonna be, and that's the downfall of a Lions fan. No, this is gonna be different. And when they kicked that field goal, they also just kicked my hopes and dreams. So, y'all know what it's like. Just let me know. Let me know. I just want to know.
I got a little bit of encouragement for you. First, let me say, I almost texted you yesterday because I just felt that it was going to happen. With teams like this who have, you know, kind of years, they put together years of losing, you know, you can see that it's not even with the coach. The organization has just had a culture of losing. And so it's going to take for them, in my opinion, to blow up kind of in the way that the Cleveland Browns did, blow up the whole organization, you know, starting with the owner. Ooh. And so the next person is going to have to, you know, really blow the whole thing up, get new people in there, because culture change has to start. I'm talking about all the way to the equipment person. And that's what's going to have to happen with the Lions, and I think it's possible. I think that somebody at some point is going to see, okay, now why Cleveland, they not, you know, they made it to the playoffs this past year. So we got to celebrate something that they've done.
Something, yep.
And so they've at least lifted themselves out of that. And so I think that's what the Lions are going to have to do.
We'll see. It's hard to remove an owner who also named the stadium they play in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking. I'll keep it on my Christmas list. Yeah, sure will.
All right, let's jump into, and this was another one that was kind of a candidate for who's really right, but we were kind of on the same side of it. And we know that a lot of, especially what happens in college football and even on the professional level, it's kind of governed by politics, and it's driven by money. And so when I see a team like Cincinnati, who isn't, a media darling like an Alabama or a Michigan or an Ohio State, when I see them get up and get close, something in me just wants to root for them. And so the last few weeks where the top 10 or the top 4 have come out and they haven't been in it, I get upset by the fact that something like football has to be governed by politics. Let them decide on the field. I think they've made, enough of an impact on the field this year. Now they still got to beat ECU tomorrow.
Yeah.
But they made enough of an impact this year, especially with beating Notre Dame, to be in this top 4. Now, do you think that they should be in the top 4 as well? Because right now they're right on the edge, number 5.
And I'm looking at it as it stands today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they should have dropped. Like, I don't understand how they dropped. I want to say, from what I'm looking at, from 3 to 4, I don't think that merited them to drop. And maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing right now, but
yeah.
I
think you might be looking at the coaches poll. Yeah. The college football playoff ranking.
Yeah. Well, it's as it stands. Oh, no. November. Oh, they haven't updated. I'm not looking at something that's updated.
Okay.
So I don't think they should have been dropped. I really don't. They played, again, for what you said. It's not their fault that their conference isn't one of the SECs or conferences that garner a lot of the attention. But with what they've been given, with the current structure, I believe you've got to reward hard work. You got to reward quality wins. And one of their quality wins is against Notre Dame.
Who's number 6?
They had a quality win against a quality opponent. They did well with the schedule they were given. But if I've got to go to a semifinal football game, I've got to be able to guarantee that there's going to be enough excitement on their side to generate sales.
Yeah.
And if I've got to choose between the Buckeyes or the Bearcats, as far as from Ohio, who's going to travel better, the Buckeyes will. So I'm praying that the Buckeyes hold their own. At the same time, now you've got a little, I think 2 teams, if Ohio State, praying that they slip up. I am praying. As a Michigan fan, I'm hoping they slip up. I just am. If they slip up, you've got a toss-up between Michigan and Notre Dame, both who travel well. And all of these things that I'm listing are more reasons as to why the Bearcats will not get respect as it relates to the college until it's expanded to 8, where you could afford a game that's just not going to do well. I don't think that Cincinnati gets the respect it deserves for how it's played. So I believe they're gonna win out. Yeah,
I think they beat ECU as well.
And go to a New Year's 6, but they will not be
in the 4.
No.
I'm going to tell you what has to happen for them to stay in the 4. And you're probably not going to like this because as a Michigan fan, it involves them losing to Ohio State.
Continue. I'm a realistic Michigan fan. I'm realistic. If it was 20 degrees warmer on Saturday, I'm not even thinking that we can win, but it's cold.
Yeah.
We're going back to Bo Schembechler, if I could say his name still, days, where we're going to just run the ball.
Yeah.
We're not throwing nothing, boys.
You know, the irony in this is I certainly root for Michigan over Ohio State.
As one with sense should.
I think Lawrence would disagree.
Hey, he's got a picture of us almost 10 years ago, draped
with Ohio State stuff,
and we haven't won since. So I hope he's listening.
Yeah.
But I've got a blue and yellow blanket that I'm driving directly to your house.
The drape across your shoulders. I think Michigan wins this game. I know it sounds crazy.
It's only crazy till it happens.
Yeah. I think Michigan wins this game, which, to your point, because Ohio State's not going to drop out of the top 4 if Michigan wins.
Oh, they are. Ohio State will have 2 losses. No, Ohio State will have 2 losses.
That's true.
So you can't keep them in the top. They will go to 5, and then you've got to choose between Notre Dame and Cincinnati. Yeah. That's
yes. Well, I mean, I think it would be obvious at that point because Cincinnati already knocked off Notre Dame. So I don't think that the committee could, in their right mind, an undefeated team who's already beaten the team, could jump them over.
You're also going to have Alabama and Georgia go at it.
This is true.
So there is a chance. There's a chance. In the words of Dumb and Dumber, you're telling me there's a chance. Yes, I'm telling you there's a chance for Cincinnati. But you've got a lot that has to happen. Ohio State has to lose. Yeah. Alabama has to, because if Alabama wins, Georgia doesn't drop out of the top 4.
No, they stay there
as a 1 loss to an Alabama team. So you need Alabama to lose. You need Ohio State to lose.
Yeah.
Because, well, no, you only need one of them to lose because, to your point, I think that Alabama loses, it drops down to 2, and then you just slide Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is going to handle East Carolina, very handily, unless there's a turkey hangover.
Right.
Which we have seen.
Man. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. I don't know why I just feel like Michigan is going to do something to beat Ohio State this year. I don't know that I've maybe one of the some years past, I think I may have taken that, but Ohio State just looked too strong in the last however many years. But this year, I don't know why I feel like Michigan may knock off Ohio State.
These are the years. If you're Georgia, if you want to win a national title, you win it this year.
Yeah.
Michigan, if you want to beat Ohio State, you do it this year.
Yeah.
This is the year. If you're going to do something, do it this year. But if not, Michigan, we're going to go on another 8-year drought, which would be close to 20 years of not beating Ohio State. And Georgia and Kirby Smart will be the second coming of Mark Richt. Great regular season, but when it comes time, we wet the bed and I think Georgia has a little chip on their shoulder. They're playing well.
Yeah.
As long as they don't get in their way. I think I haven't seen a team that could beat Georgia yet.
Yeah, I think that defense is too strong. They have a really good defensive line, and I think that carries them to a national championship this year.
Yeah.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.